Hey guys, today I want to talk about a Roth 401k and the differences between a Roth 401k and a traditional 401k. This video is basically assuming that you have already heard my previous videos on 401ks and on Roth IRAs, and that you at least understand the difference between the both and the benefits that a 401k brings and the benefits that a Roth IRA brings. Just to summarize, the 401k, basically your employer is contributing, is matching your contributions. So let's say that you make 60 grand a year. If you make 60 grand a year and your employer says, hey, we're gonna match 5% of your salary, that means that if 5% of 60 grand is $3,000 a year, so you're looking at roughly around, I don't know, like 250 per month. So if you put in 250 per month into your 401k, your employer basically says, hey, we're also going to put in another 250 into that account. So effectively $500 is going into that account, but only 250 came out of your own pocket. Traditionally speaking, the 401k is before taxes, meaning that you have not paid taxes on your contribution. So it means that you get a tax cut the year that you made those contributions. A lot of financial advisors like to say, hey, do a traditional if you believe that you're gonna make less money at retirement, you're gonna be in a lower tax bracket at retirement, and do a Roth if you believe that you're gonna be in a higher tax bracket at retirement. I really don't like this recommendation because there's two things. A, we don't know if you're going to be in a higher tax bracket once you retire, right? We also don't know what the rate of return will be on your investments for the rest of your life. We don't know how much that investment account is going to grow for the next 40 years of your life. We have projections and we have estimates, and we have historical data that allows us to make assumptions, right? We can say, hey, the S&P has grown at this percentage, and yes, we should use that to kind of give us a sense of what to expect, but at the end of the day, we have no idea what's going to happen. So you have to be realistic and understand, hey, I have no idea what's going to happen when it comes to growth and a rate of return, and I have no idea what's going to happen when it comes to my tax bracket. Most financial advisors like to believe that most people will be in a lower tax bracket at retirement. I tend to advocate for the opposite. I'd say I like to believe that as millennials, we grew up differently. We saw the recession. We were affected by a lot of things that our grandfathers were not affected by, that our parents were not affected by, the baby boomers. Therefore, we have a different aspect of life, and I like to believe that we want to create what's called income-producing assets. And we're going to be better with our money than our previous generations. That's not me being cocky about our generation. That's just basically me saying, me seeing what's going on within our generations. Our generation tends to be a lot more expense cautious, and we also tend to be better consumers. Yes, of course, we all make dumb mistakes, and of course, a lot of us could be investing at an earlier age, but we at least have that in our peripheral. We at least are thinking about that, and we've seen how our parents have struggled, and most millennials do not want to be stuck in a 9 to 5 for the rest of their life. Unlike our previous generations, who basically said, hey, shut up, work for 30 years, and basically put all your money towards a house. And whenever you retire, you're basically going to have two assets. One is going to be your house, and the second asset is going to be your pension, right? Nothing else. We don't tend to think like that. So I tend to believe that we will be the generation that will actually start to create income-producing assets. And actually, the numbers are showing that more and more millionaires are becoming millionaires through their 401k accounts, through their retirement accounts. So something is changing. Something is changing in our generations. So therefore, that being said, I tend to believe that there is a good chance that a lot of us will be in a higher tax bracket when we retire. Why? Because we're going to have income producing assets, we're going to have rental properties, we're going to have 401k accounts, Roth IRAs, we're going to have all these things, maybe even have invested in businesses, partnerships, franchises, private investments such as Uber and even with Kickstarter, this just investing in non-public investments, which is the stock market, is becoming easier and easier for the everyday Joe. So if I had to say, I would always like to make a suggestion based on at least the idea that you are planning to grow financially, not necessarily decay financially. That being said, let's get to the meat, guys. What is the Roth 401k? Okay, the Roth 401k is once again a 401k account in which your employer matches your contributions, but you have the benefit that although you're going to pay taxes up front, whatever growth you have will be tax-free at retirement. There are a few things that differentiate the 401k, the Roth 401k from the 401k, that you have to be careful with. The first one is that you cannot just pull money out of your Roth 401k. There has to be a qualified event, a qualified distribution, which basically for the most of us is going to be reaching the age of 59 and a half is when we'll start to be able to make those distributions. The qualified distributions is a very small list. So being in financial difficulty is not going to qualify you as an event. You wanting to buy a car is not going to qualify you as an event. But it's a very small list. Being 59 and a half, and let's just bet on that. So essentially, you're betting that you're not going to touch that money until you retire, which is what the retirement account is, for it to begin with. Another thing that you have to look out for is that the employer contribution, similar to the 401k employer contribution, is not going to be tax-free at retirement. You will have to pay tax on that money because that money is not yours. You did not put that money in, your employer did. So the government sees that as, hey, that's income given to you and we want our cut of that income. So the employer contribution will be taxable. A third point, there will be what's called a required minimum distribution, an RMD, at retirement, meaning that when you reach 70 and a half years old, you will be required to make distributions on that account. Unlike the Roth 401k, as of right now, legislation has it that if you have a Roth IRA, you will not have to make an required minimum distribution, which means that you can leave that money there and have it just keep growing. With the Roth 401k, as of right now, legislation says that, hey, reaching 70 and a half years old, you have to take money out. The fourth point that you have to watch out for is that there's no income limits. So that's a huge benefit. That's a huge benefit to people that make a lot of money. People that are making 200 grand a year, 250. Those people cannot put money in a Roth IRA because the Roth IRA has income limitations. Meaning that if you make a certain amount of money, then you cannot put money in a Roth IRA. So the way around that is that if your employer offers a Roth 401k, you can contribute to that and therefore get the tax-free growth on that account. Now, 50% of employers that offer 401ks are actually offering Roth 401ks, so there's a pretty good chance that this will be available to you. The problem is that out of the people that contribute to a 401k, only 22% of those people max out the matchable contribution. So, in short, there's a few things. I recommend a Roth 401k if you're a young person, not because of the tax savings. We've already been through this, not because of your potential tax savings. A lot of advisors will run with that. Will be like, even Dave Ramsey runs with that. Hey, more money's going to be in that account, blah, blah, blah. But the truth is that we don't know, right? we don't know what rate of return you're actually going to get, and we don't know what your tax bracket will actually be throughout your lifetime. So the two factors that will make you choose one over the other are unknowns, right? So yes, we can make projections. Yes, for the most part, I do tend to recommend a Roth. However, the real reason why I personally like a Roth, whether it's an IRA or a Roth 401k, is the flexibility. The flexibility at retirement. To me, that is much more important than tax cuts. Why? Because I've seen it happen. I've seen how this has affected previous clients that are at retirement, that let's say they've accumulated $2 million throughout their lifetime in a retirement account. Okay, they're all happy, they have $2 million, and then boom, they come and they say, hey Lucio, I want to withdraw 500 grand because I want to buy a vacation house in Cancun, because in my mind I got 2 million in my account that I've accumulated and that's rightfully mine, so I can pull out 500 grand. But the IRS doesn't see it that way. The IRS says, hey, you've never paid money on this account. If it's a traditional IRA or if it's a regular traditional 401k, you've never paid any taxes on this money. Therefore, we're gonna tax the hell out of you whenever you do make a withdrawal. So let's say that same old client comes in, has 2 million in the account, and they say, hey Lucio, give me 500,000 because I want to buy a vacation home in Cancun. I say, are you sure you want to do that? Yes, I'm sure. I really like the house. I really want to buy it. So what happens now? The IRS sees that $500,000 distribution as a taxable income within that year. So that's going to put you at probably the highest tax bracket in that moment in time. So it means that about a third or 40% of that money is automatically going to taxes, to the IRS. Which means that if you pulled out 500 grand out of your 2 million, that means that the IRS that year will say, hey, you made 500 grand this year, therefore you owe us 200 grand. You owe us, let's say 40%, 35%. So 200 grand. So effectively, you only see $300,000 of the 500, and your account just went down by a quarter, and you just gave the IRS 10% of the money that you've accumulated and that you were counting on for retirement. To me, that's not an acceptable situation that I want to be in when I retire. So I'd much rather pay my dues up front. So this way, if I have 2 million at retirement and it's in a Roth and it's tax-free, then I can say, hey, if I got 2 million, I can pull out 500,000 and I can buy that vacation home in Cancun or Hawaii, or I can buy that ski cabin in Whistler, Canada, or I can do whatever the hell I want with my money, and I do not have to worry about a IRS bill. So for that reason, I like the Roth. I like the flexibility that it gives you at retirement, because it's not all about saving and taxes. A lot of it also has to do with your flexibility. Which accounts is going to provide you the most flexibility and overall benefits. It's not a one factor takes all. That's it, guys. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.